Hi and welcome to my playhouse, and today I'm playing around with my solar powered. I'm planning to try and power the house at some point in the future, but this is kind of a next episode in a series, so if you haven't seen other series about this project, you should go back. I'll try and put a link down here for what the last one was called, but yeah, I was trying to get a 48 volt battery bank up and running, and I had some problems converting that into 220 volts because I only had UPSs that was taking, either they took 96 volts, yeah, or they actually took 24 volts, and that was just not very compatible with 48 volts. But I found a new, actually it was the oldest one I got. It was on storage. I had it stored, and you will see why. Here is the data center, and I have an here, this one, and I have an there, and beneath those two was an even bigger like 3 kilowatt hours of power, and actually the battery pack for it is right there, and I have had that taken apart, and it consists of 16 batteries, each 6 volts, but they're in 2 parallel chains of 48 volts in there, or at least that's what I think. Now I already assembled it again. It is a menace to move around. They're really heavy, but I moved the big box down in the basement because I wanted to play with that. And it is down here. Oops, there it is. Big and the battery slots fits in here, and this thing fits over there, and I have these wires, and I just measured between the two minus wires here and the 2 plus wires, and they are short-circuited on the board down here, even though they don't really go into the same hole down here. Can you see that? You can get some more like that. Watch. Yeah, we can kind of see that. But they go into the board there, and the minus goes in here. And I think this is a 48 volt. And I'm gonna try and test that. My best thinking says that it shouldn't hurt to try it. Hooking up my little battery bank here. I'm gonna use some thin wires so that the wire will burn first. Actually, I might put it on a fuse. Yeah, that's the project. I was just going upstairs to get the display because I wanted to put the display on when I was gonna test this. Then I decided to get the camera too. So, display. And back into the basement. And the display goes on here. So the wires, they're long enough to go over there. That's really practical. So that's cool. And I'm gonna put on the display here. That goes in there. I don't know if you call this a display. It's actually just light diodes and buttons. Let's see if it's... I didn't bring the screws, so I hope it will stay there by itself. Yeah. Kind of. It's probably okay. And I'm gonna try and connect plus and found a 10 amp fuse here. I'm gonna put that in the battery series. Okay, and I'm gonna check on the multimeter that I have a good connection. I'm gonna measure the battery voltage, and it should, hopefully it's about 50 volts. It was about 50 volts just a little while ago. Yeah, 50 volts. And I connected the minus here to the oops, and I'm gonna connect the plus to the oops. I'm just gonna tap it really quick to see what happens and get any sparks out of the way. Yeah, big spark. There, we are connected. And I'll measure the voltage again. See what the voltage says. Still 50 volts. I'm gonna try and press the button. And we had a burnout. It took the fuse. Oh, it's burned really well. Apparently 10 amps wasn't enough. I'll try with 15 amps. I hope that will... I would expect this system to have a decent startup power, and I hope that was what blew the fuse. But I have one at 25 amps too, and I would like to start it up with as little as possible. Okay, the 15 amp fuse is mounted, and I'm gonna press the on button, and this time I'm gonna film the fuse if something exciting blows up. And 1, 2, 3, I'm pressing. It didn't really start. It didn't do much. It didn't blow the fuse this time, so nothing that oh, something is happening down here. Oh, missed it. With smoke and everything. I put on some extra wires, and I exchanged the fuse for another 15 amp fuse, and I'm gonna try and turn it on again and see what happens. Kind of does the same thing. It's kind of on right now. I have no idea what's it doing, but I think it turned off now. So apparently the amount of power is okay. Probably the surge is just too much. I'm gonna try and turn it on again. I think it's complaining about there is no 220 volts. Let's see. It is kind of blinking over here. Testing the power or doing something. And there it turned off again. It seems to be a good experiment. Just zoom in and see what I did on the wires. Like I told, the battery banks consist of 2 chains of 8 batteries that are in series to produce 48 volts each. And each of those goes out to a wire like this one, with a plus and a minus, and over here too a plus and a minus. And this time I connected the plus of this one and the plus of this one to plus on the battery, and I did the same with the minus. And down on the motherboard, or the board, I don't know if you can call this a motherboard, down here there's some fuses, and there's 4 fuses of 30 amps each, and I don't want to blow those because they are soldered into the board So if I blow those, I'll have to disassemble a lot, and yeah, I don't want to do that. Okay, I went out to the data center and got a cable, and this is I think this is a high power something. Yeah, it goes up to 16 amps, which is a bit more than the usual cables. I think just for the comparison, this is a usual appliance plug. And this is like 13 amps, I think. It says 10 amps. Okay. But I'm gonna plug this one in. Right now it's not plugged in at the other end because I want to do that last. I want to be as far away from this thing when it turns on, just for safety. And should be okay. And I've also went and got some safety glasses. Not that I don't think I'm gonna need them. Oh, it said boom. It blew the fuse. I don't like very much that it blows this fuse all the time. 15 amps, 48 volts is a considerable amount of power. Yeah. Right now there's still power on it. I think we can probably turn it on because it's just gonna recognize that the battery bank is not there. Apparently not. It needs the battery bank to turn on. I'm gonna see if I have a 20 amp fuse. Yeah, here's a 20 amp fuse. I'm gonna plug that in and see what happens. The fuse is in there. I unplugged the power over here. The wire is here. I'm gonna plug that in, but I'm gonna point the camera at the fuse if like anything interesting happens. It's plugged in. Nothing has happened yet. Still have my safety glasses on. Don't want to risk it. And what happens when I try to turn this thing on? Powering on. Nothing at all. I'm just gonna make sure that I actually, if I have a connection. If I don't have 50 volts on the batteries, it means that I haven't connected it good enough. I have like 4 volts. The pump decided to come on. We're gonna... Okay, I had a bad connection over here. So I'm gonna try and plug it in again. And maybe we'll see some fireworks. So hopefully this will work now. It's not perfect. Keeps making fuses. And I'm not sure that it's only the fuse. I think, yeah. Now I blew the wire over here. It has a bad connection there too, so I'm gonna unplug it and redo this connection. Okay, I changed the fuse again, still 20 amps, and I'm gonna power on the system and I'm gonna put in the plug, see if that does any different. Power on. Seems my system is online. It's complaining about power though. I don't know what the red one. Just checking there is power on the system. So that should be good. And it is running. Fan is blowing. But it is complaining about DC power. I'm gonna run it for a little bit, see what happens. Well, I've had this running most of the day and it hasn't done anything. I tried to measure the voltage on the batteries and it's kind of stable on 50 volts. So, and it's about to be bedtime and I don't want this turned on when I go to sleep. So I'm gonna turn it off. I'm gonna see if everything blows up. And it didn't turn off. Probably have to unplug it over here. I'm gonna film the thing and I'm gonna unplug it and it's probably gonna blow. Yeah, it blew the fuse. I think it's safe, but the surge is enough to blow the fuse every time. I think this is a great solution. I haven't really tried to get some power out of this yet, but it's a really cool solution. Also because there's like a computer interface around the back here, so I can connect the computer and see how the OOPS is doing and how the batteries are doing. Why does that always happen? Apparently, every time I turn on the camera, the pump comes on also. Bad timing. Now it's stopped. I've been waiting 10 minutes for it to stop, so yeah, now it's stopped. But I think this will be a really good solution if it doesn't burn off, melt down on me. And I've put on the wire here again. It actually just sparked, so it got stuck there. So I'm gonna play around with that. Upstairs and got the battery pack down here. This is the battery pack for this OOPS. I think it's a 3 kilowatt OOPS, and this is the battery pack for it. And the battery pack itself is somewhere between 30 and 34 kilograms. It's 65 to 75 pounds, I guess. This is heavy as hell itself, and I took the liberty of unscrewing it now that the pump was making too much noises. And it consists of 16 batteries, each of 6 volts, and they're like in a chain, 2 chains of 48 volts. So that's kind of perfect for my needs. This way I can, right now I only have one bank of batteries, but I actually have some more batteries in here, and I got another one, so I got 4 of these batteries as well. So I'll be able to make two new chains of batteries. Plus I am of course I'll try and see if I can charge on these as well. It's always fun to see if that can happen. But yeah, this project is moving along, and it really needs to, because it has been sitting on the table here for way too long. I kind of want my table back. The plan is to get a shelf, much like this one. Get a metal shelf, and then I want to put it in here, and the secret underground whatever, and put it over here and in the corner somewhere, and stash it with batteries and the inverter. Or oops, needs to do a bit of cleaning before that will happen, but that's the plan. But I hope when I'm not gonna build a new case for this inverter, or oops, I just want to use the case that it's already got. But it would be sad not to use all this storage for something, so I hope that these batteries can be kind of fixed again, so that I could put those in and have a battery bank. I think this battery bank in my house would probably be good for a couple of hours, so it wouldn't be totally wasted. But I think each of these batteries are way too expensive. Probably 2 of these batteries are as expensive as a big new battery, and the amp hours on these are much lower than a big one. So in that regards, it's not very good economically to buy these batteries, except if they're somehow really cheap, but they usually aren't. Project is kind of moving along, even though I haven't gotten any power out of this, but I just happen to have a 48 volts oops laying around that I didn't really know about, so that's kind of cool. And I don't have to go out and use a lot of money on that. And I'm sure that an oops like this is not very expensive on eBay or Craigslist or wherever you get oopses, because they're kind of worthless when the battery runs out. And all the big computers, places, data centers, it's almost as cheap getting a new oops as a new battery pack. So very often they just exchange the oops instead of the battery pack, and that's also how I got this one. So it's a good deal, kind of, for me. Anyway, thank you for watching my videos. Do subscribe to my channel so that you can see me again, and have a really nice day. Bye bye.